Hey, Nathan here from PH Studios. Welcome back to another Garageband tutorial from the TDCS. And what we're going to do in this series is we're actually going to go in and create our own first song. Now we're just going to create it based on loops. And just like myself, the very first song we create is not going to be that complex. Just like the tower defense menu song that I demonstrated last tutorial was not complex at all. So I do not want to give you a complex song right away, and I just want to slowly get you familiar with how to work Garageband. So let's go ahead and create a new project, and let's do a loops project. And choose, let's leave the defaults, and let's call this tutorial and loops tutorial. And click create. So this is going to create a new project. Let me just resize the window here. And it's already going to go to the loops tab. So now we need to think about what we want our song to be. And let's do a piano song for this. And if I just turn this volume down so you're not blasted with the sound, if we just single left click on these titles here, we can hear it. Now usually you can combine similar titles one after another. And then you can later on go into a more complex one. Let's see what a 32 one sounds like. I just saw one. There it is. So I'm going to go up to the top and I'm going to pick a classical rock piano. That sounds kind of nice, so I'm going to drag that into our project, and now it's going to give us a piano roll. Now I can modify it if I want to, but this tutorial does not cover piano rolls, so I'm going to close that down. Let me see what these. Now this one's just the same thing over and over again. It's not very complex, but let's see how well it sounds with the other classic piano in it. Now most of this is just a guess and check type thing. I'm not that musical minded. I have been in band classes before, and I've taken a few music classes, and I've played the guitar, but I'm not that. I cannot imagine what this violin sounds like with my current created song, so I have to add it in there and see. That actually sounds kind of nice. Now another thing with loops, if you want this thing to continue, you go up to the top right and you'll see a loop, and you just click and hold that and drag it over, and it will continue forever long as you want it. And now we click this. I'm going to turn the metronome off, and I'm going to turn this up a little bit. And I can adjust the volume here. Now, I want to turn the loop on, so I want to work on a specific part of the song. I want to work on from here to here. I just want to work on with the classic rock piano. Now this will allow me to hear the song infinitely while I adjust the volumes, adjust the effects and stuff like that. So I'm just going to hit play, and it's going to keep on going until I hit stop. So I can adjust the effects if I want to. Like I can turn on echo. Not that that did anything, really. Let's look at the visual equalizer. This'll might do something. Yeah, you see how I modify the effects there? I don't like that middle one. It's kind of hard to get this kind of working though. Turn that down. So this is what it sounds like with it. I can solo it, and it'll solo just that part. This is what it sounds like with the visual equalizer off. Now when I turn it on, whichever one you like better, you can choose. I'll just leave that on because that's what we just did. Now I can turn on reverb and echo. But I don't like that, so I'm going to turn those down. And all these stuff we can add our own. Let's see what a distortion we can do. I'm going to solo that. So this is what it sounds like when it's off, and when it's on. So all these effects you can play around with, but I'm going to get rid of this one. So I'm just going to leave it as this. And we already created a nice song. It loops perfectly. And that's the idea behind the loops, is that they will loop perfectly. So what I want to do is I want to extend this one up top to one more bar, one more loop that it can go on. And then I want to extend this here. Now I want to add another loop. So I want to stop this. And let's look at another classic piano. So 4 is what I had before. Let's see what 3 sounds like. I want to add that after this one. So now once I do that, I need to extend this again to when it ends, and let's play it. The volumes don't match, so I gotta modify that. So now if I want to go back, I can either play it from the beginning again and hear that transition. As you heard, when this ended and this one began, there was a large volume change. So what I want to do is I want to make sure that this volume change is correct. So I'm going to drag the start over to here, so I can hear that change without hearing the entire song again. And it was a little bit too loud, so let's play it again. That's pretty nice transition. So now once that's done, I can go back to the very beginning and I can keep on going with the project. Now, before I continue, I do not want this classical piano left to start right away. I want it to start, let's say right here, and I want it to slowly turn on. Now, if I click this little down arrow, I'll get these automation, is what they call them, and track volume is what I'm interested in. I want to slowly make it go from you cannot hear it to it's kind of quiet to where it is right now, which is 0 dB. So I want to go over to here. Let's say I want to hear it fully at this point here. So I click here, And now it turns on. And at this point here, I do not want to hear it. And you can either leave this like it is here, but the problem is if you drag it back, you will hear it, then it will slowly go quiet, then you'll hear it again. So let's just decrease that one as well, just in case we want to move it back. Now you can make the transition a lot slower if you want to. You can drag that single point over to about here. That sounds actually pretty nice. It goes along with, it slowly turns on. You can start hearing it about this point here. So when that loop starts again, you'll be able to hear it. Alright, so once we have that, we can keep on adding more loops if you want to. Let's kind of spice it up a little bit. Let's add a string, maybe a violin. Now, I'm going to focus on the piano roll, and the way you can determine if it's a piano roll or a just a standard wave or MP3 or whatever format they're using, I believe it's AIFF, where you cannot edit. You can add effects to it, but you cannot edit it. If it's blue, it's a pure sound file, wave file, whatever. If it's green, you have a piano roll, and it's a software instrument. Violas. Turn that up. It's a capital C. That might go well. So let's just, again, I need to drag it down and see if it'll go well. So let's go over here and move the starting point over here. Come on. Okay, I might need to dive into the piano roll for this. Just to modify it, if it'll let me. Okay. Doesn't sound that bad. Now, I did not want to make this a piano roll tutorial, but what I had to do here was I had to double click, I had to select all the points in the piano roll, and I had to increase the velocity. That just makes it a harder note that they played. And you could hear the difference. If I lower the velocity, So you can hear the difference, definitely. And I decided to make it harder, because even with the volume at max, I could not hear it at all. So even though I can barely hear it, it kind of fits well with the song, depending on what you're looking for. And due to that echo, when I stop playing, that echo is going to go on for a little while. Alright, so this is how you create loops and how to do it effectively. It depends what type of song you're looking for. I like orchestra type work, so I like to strictly stick with piano and violins and French horns, trumpets, and all that stuff. You might like techno, and there's some synth pads here that you could use. Synth and techno and all that stuff. You can combine the synth stuff to create techno. If you're into rock, there's a whole bunch of guitars here. And just pretty much anything you're looking for. And also, if I can figure out where it was. Up here at the very top, you'll see a loops with the double arrow. If I click that, if you purchase any jam packs, I purchased a symphony orchestra, you can just look at the symphony orchestra loops that they give you. And maybe I use some, the capital C violin, that was a symphony orchestra loop. Sorry about that. So I can add an orchestral, and it will give me a certain loop. So if I just want to see that's built into Garageband, I can click the Garageband and kits. So all sorts of stuff. You can create a nice song based on the loops. Let me go ahead and remove this track. If you go to the track menu, you can see a nice overview. Like if I wanted to fade the entire song in, I could show the master track and do the same thing I did with the piano track. I can say at this point in time, let's make it here. At this point, I want to hear the song, and at the very beginning, I want it to be quiet. And you see it fades in, and that will fade in every track that you have here. That's what the master track does. Okay, so we click the violin section, and since you do not have the capital C, I'm going to remove this track. So I'll go to track and delete track. And let me make sure. Now if you want to search for it, you can type in this little search box. So I click classic, and it shows up. So classic rock piano. So 1 through 6. So you have 3, and you have 4. Classic piano left. And 0, 1. You do not have a classic piano left. Okay, so that's it for this tutorial. I hope you enjoyed it. Next tutorial, I'm going to discuss the a piano roll in greater detail. Piano roll is, if you double click this, you can actually modify the sound effect and song that you're trying to create, and you can create your own customized version of this if you want to. And I won't demonstrate how to do that until next tutorial, so I hope to see you next time.